what political and economic forces are creating part of the crisis, not only the financial literacy crisis, but the retirement crisis today, and how they can fight those forces. Because that comes down to your investment choices you make. I don't think investors are engaged enough. Maybe because they don't know about the subject and they feel a little insecure and intimidated, so they prefer just to throw it off to the advisor. And that's fine, but I think the engagement process needs to be not only with the financial advisor and the coach, because we are just here to guide you, motivate you, and structure your goals and objectives. Investors need to know what questions to ask. So how do you ask questions? You get educated, because knowledge is power. And that's how the wealthy elites have made so much money. They've taken the time to get engaged, to learn, to ask questions, and to be curious. And it's not that you need to be the expert, but you need to be engaged enough to know what questions to ask.
What would you say are some of the top questions that a starting out investor perhaps should seriously contemplate and ask?
Well, as I talk about in my book, investors need to think of financial literacy in two themes. The first is what you mentioned earlier, basic financial concepts. And I call that micro. And there's tons of books out there, Susie Orman, David Ramsey. There's a lot of books that people can pick up and spend 5 minutes a day and use those resources to build an emergency fund, because a lot of people were caught off guard with COVID. Set up a budget and reduce your debt. So that's the one theme of the book that I really don't go into deep, because there's so many books out there. What I have found when I was doing research about the macro side of financial literacy, there were no books out there, zero. So I know that this contribution to the financial industry that I've made with me and Dr. Georgie, my collaborator, my researcher, is a book that investors need to get engaged with. What political and economic forces are creating part of the crisis, not only the financial literacy crisis, but the retirement crisis today, and how they can fight those forces. Because that comes down to your investment choices you make, whether that be stocks or bonds or other asset classes. So I want to introduce the macro piece of financial literacy and explain things that people hear about every day on TV, and have someone put it all together for them in the last 50 years and what's happened in the past that's going on today that will affect your future, and how can you use that information to build a sustainable investment strategy that can sustain you without fear, based on facts, and leave a legacy for your loved ones. So that was the motivation in giving that information to the public.